Justice Secretary warns Boris Johnson about rule of law over no-deal bill. In an extraordinary tweet to Robert Buckland confirmed he had spoken to the PM about the rule of law. Justice Secretary Robert Buckland has publicly warned Boris Johnson against resisting a law that to stop Britain crashing out of the EU with no deal. Mr. Buckland made it clear he was not on the verge of quitting the cabinet over the issue, but said he had stressed the importance of the rule of law with Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson was branded a teen pot dictator over a promise to break the law rather than ask for an extension if Britain can't agree a deal to leave the EU. Mr. Johnson has said he would rather die in a ditch than go cap in hand to Brussels despite MPs passing a law demanding he do it if no deal has been agreed by September 19. In what many will read as a shot across the PM's bow, Mr. Buckland tweeted, "Speculation about my future is wide of the mark. I fully support the Prime Minister and will continue to serve in his cabinet. We have spoken over the past 24 hours regarding the importance of the rule of law, which I as Lord Chancellor have taken an oath to uphold." Earlier Shadow Attorney General and Labour peer Baroness Chakrabarti branded the government's position extraordinary and said the PM was behaving like every teen pot dictator on the planet, if he thought he could defy the law. Shadow Chancellor John McDonnell told the BBC, "I think we're in an extremely serious constitutional position. We don't believe that we can pin him down, and I don't trust him an inch, and I don't think anyone does. We've got a Prime Minister who has said he would not abide by the law. We're in a situation where no one can trust while he's in place what could happen." It comes after a disastrous week for Mr. Johnson in which he lost his majority, his first 4 Commons votes, his bid for a general election and the support of his brother and then senior cabinet minister Amber Rudd, who dramatically quit. The PM tomorrow faces another humiliating Commons defeat as MPs again reject his calls for a general election and the prospect of yet more Tory civil war with more resignations from anxious Tory MPs who fear he has no plans for a fresh Brexit deal. Baroness Chakrabarti told Sky News' Sophie Ridge on Sunday, "I think the position is irresponsible and elitist, the idea there's one law for Boris Johnson and his mates and another law for everyone else, it's appalling." She added, "Every teen pot dictator on the planet throughout history has used the excuse of having the people on their side to break the law to shut down Parliament and all the rest of it. It's absolutely extraordinary and I think it's very un-British, as was the purge of the 21 MPs, who are conservatives, they're not secret Corbynistas." She went on, "The legislation is crystal clear. If you don't have a deal in the next few weeks you have to apply for the extension. It's a duty that's laid in the legislation on the Prime Minister personally." Earlier Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab said the government would obey the law but first, it was going to challenge it in the courts to try and wriggle free from Parliament's demands. He said, "We're always going to behave lawfully as a government, of course, you'd expect it and anyway it will be challenged in the courts. But what we are going to do with that legislation is tested very carefully what it does and doesn't require, and that's not only the lawful thing to do, I think it's the responsible thing to do." The Prime Minister will try to agree a new deal with Brussels at a summit on October 17, but should he fail he will then reportedly refuse to comply with the so-called Benn Act passed by Parliament last week. But Mr. Johnson has repeatedly promised to break the law in a move which Downing Street believes would guarantee an immediate judicial review in the Supreme Court with the fate of Brexit placed in the hands of judges just days before the October 31 deadline. Former Director of Public Prosecutions Lord MacDonald said yesterday that it could see the PM arrested and imprisoned. Chancellor Sajid Javid appeared to suggest the government would and would not break the law in a confusing interview on the BBC. Mr. Javid told Andrew Marr to wait and see when questioned about an incoming law to block a no-deal Brexit. He said, "Of course this government will obey the law. We are going to continue to work towards exit on October 31. We will leave on October 31. We will work for a deal, we will keep putting all our effort into that and preparations for no deal just in case that is the only way we can leave." Mr. Javid said Boris Johnson absolutely will not ask for an extension in an October Council meeting with the EU. He continued, "We will not change our policy, we will have to wait and see." Presented by News of Voice. More news, www.newsofvoice.com. Please subscribe to our channel. Appreciate on like and comments. Thank you.